Hi, I'm Chris with Celadon, and today we're going to see how you can use Davinci for mission architecture design. So we're on Davinci's home screen here, and we can just select New Project and say, oh, let's do a Mars sample return mission. Okay, we can select the project, and we load into Davinci's main project screen. So down here we can simply ask Davinci, build a detailed parts tree for a Mars sample return mission. Enter. And so that instruction has been sent to Davinci, and it will help construct a part tree for a Mars sample return mission. So while it does that, it'll work through all of the different things required to build a Mars sample return mission, all the different parts, and it will return them to us when it's complete. We'll return them over here in the index under elements, and then also over here in the bottom right, this is the history of the project. So various different tasks Davinci accomplishes and various manual edits to the project that you do will appear here. Along with undo and redo and your computation credits remaining. So in the chat you can control sort of the depth of generation of these objects when you send out tasks for Davinci to do. We'll leave it on auto for now. So it looks like Davinci is done, and it's created a set of components for this Mars mission. So you can take a look. It looks like it's created an orbiter, a lander, a rover, and an Earth return vehicle. Pretty good. So let's look at sort of the tree view of it. We can turn on documentation for each of the parts, and then we can also increase the depth of the tree of objects that we show. So for each of these objects, it looks like it made one level below. So communication subsystem, power subsystem, propulsion, scientific instruments for the orbiter, for example, and then all sorts of other things for each of the various components of the mission. So here we have our part decomposition. Let's try and build an action flow. So we can just say build a concept of operations for the mission. And we now sent that task to Davinci, and it is now currently constructing the different actions required to conduct the Mars sample return mission. And that'll come back to us in maybe 45 seconds here. We can continue to sort of explore the model here. You can see that it suggests various attributes for us to include in our parts, and it also suggests roll-ups here. So the lander is the sum of the landing gear plus the sample collection arm plus the onboard laboratory plus the thermal control system, right? And so if it had more subparts, you could roll that up into the mass of the lander, for example. So it looks like Davinci has built us a concept of operations for this mission. Let's take a look. So conduct Mars sample return mission. So we can see here the action sequence for conducting the Mars sample return mission. You can launch the mission, land on Mars simultaneously with orbiting Mars with the orbiter, conduct rover operations, return to Earth, sample recovery. We can also increase the depth of each of these actions to see what each action is, what it takes to accomplish each action. And you can go as detailed as you want with this. You could say, oh, I want to have a detailed action flow of launching the rover. And you could say, hey, Davinci, increase the depth of the launch rover action. It could build out all of that. But we're going to do something a little bit different. It suggests that we link the actions to the parts. So let's say link the actions to the mission parts. right? And let's send that task to Davinci. And so right now, this is just sort of a task sequence in and of itself. And what this will do is it'll link this action flow to the parts themselves. So it should be, launch orbiter, launch rover, launch lander. Each of the different parts should be assigned to these various tasks. So we'll see what it returns here. But right now it's going through each of the actions and each of the parts and basically asking the question of, does this action apply to this part? Or, should this part perform this action? And it will return the linkages between those objects. So you can see here the credit usage for each of the tasks and the number of additions and updates for those tasks. So here it linked each of the parts. We can see 37 updates. So all of these performs and used in fields have been changed, but let's take a look at the Earth return vehicle. So this performs launch Earth return vehicle. Okay. The rover here performs rover operations, deploy rover, navigate Martian terrain, and store samples in the rover. So you can see here it linked each of these. And if we click on store samples in rover and look at the details, you can see what it's used in. So here are the parts it's used in the rover, and also the sample storage part for the rover, and is also used in the rover operations sequence. So this is great. We can go back to sort of the Mars sample return mission itself, and let's write a document. So let's say create a summary document for the mission. And so this will send off the task to create a document describing the mission. So here in 6 minutes, we've built up a reasonable decomposition of the parts required for a Mars sample return mission and the action sequence required for this mission. We can edit things manually. For example, here Davinci might not have done the best job constructing this action sequence for orbit Mars. So we can go in here and edit this sequence manually. So maybe we want the start to be here and the sequence to look like this. So everything in the model you can edit manually, but the idea is that Davinci gets you 80, 90, 95% of the way there to the final product. So Davinci is still creating the document. This document will have sections that will link to various objects in the model. So it's almost like a model view in and of itself. It can also create tables and figures and populate that content to some degree. So we'll see that when it creates the document. All right, it looks like Davinci has created the document, so we can pull up artifacts here and take a look at this document. So it's written various different sections of the document, and these are hyperlinked to various components in the model. So it has different sections. It's built a diagram here that we can select the options for. It has the different mission phases that take into account each of the different action flows. And we have a mission timeline section here that sort of rehashes all of the actions required to launch mission and then all the way to sample recovery. It has various component specifications here, and it attempts to make a table. So some of the parts here don't have some of the attributes that it puts in the table, but it does a good job, and the parts that do have the various attributes are presented here. So that's a cool way to edit and view the model, is through these tables. Launch and cruise, it has another sequence diagram here, sample return journey, and recovery and analysis, and a conclusion section. So, you know, if you're sort of saying, hey, this is our concept of operations, this is our mission architecture, here is a document, and this was made in under 10 minutes. We went from creating this project to having a document explaining what this mission is. So that's really quick to get to an 80-95% solution, and now you can go in here and add your specifics either manually or ask Davinci to make updates and provide it with information. So hopefully this was helpful and exciting, and hopefully you can use Davinci in your mission architecture needs. So thank you very much, Chris from Celadon. This is Davinci.